Just a Job is the podcast for the modern woman to redefine what success looks like. We highlight real women and their real stories. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Just a Job with Ellen and Sarah. We're here with our matching glasses on, per usual. Sarah, tell me what's on the agenda today.
We are going to run through what we did this week and what we plan to do this coming week. So I can kick things off if that's okay. I'll intro myself.
Kick it off. Kick it off.
All right. Let's kick this into the goal. I have had, I don't know, it's like been a fast week. I struggled on Monday because I had the morning off, and something about me is I am so keen to being productive that anytime I have a moment of forced stillness, aka having time off, I unravel because I'm like, oh my God, I need to be doing things. I need to be busy. I need to be doing, whatever. So you should have seen me in my house. I was like a mad woman trying to do paint by numbers. And then I'd put that down. And then I'm like, I need to go on a walk. Then I'd go on a walk, and then I'd come back. And then I'm like, I need to clean. And then I would clean. And it's just kind of this like constant thing that I'm working on. And so that was my week, was basically just trying to mentally work through that. I'm also trying to explore hobbies. February is always really difficult because you're just like right on the cusp of spring, and you still have, some moments of stillness, but I'm trying to figure out, things that I want to work on, like hobbies and such. So maybe it's time that I tackle things on my to-do list. So heading into the weekend, it's supposed to be rainy and cold here. So I'm probably going to try to force myself to stay in and cozy up and finish Love is Blind and work on some podcast things. So that's on my agenda. Ellen, I'm gonna pass the ball over to you.
What's like
you can kick it into the other goal.
Like, oh my God, this sports nomenclature is hysterical. Pass the baton. Sarah, I'm gonna let you take this one from here. God, I don't miss that. Hi, Perfect. It's me.
No.
Let's see. Updates with job stuff. I'm going to be working part-time for a friend, which I'm very excited about, getting all the details ironed out officially today, which is really exciting. Worked out some more podcast stuff this past week. My sister's coming into town in a couple of weeks, so I'm trying to any updates of things we wanted to hang up or stuff to get around the house. I've been in my interior designer brain, which has been so much fun. So I've been doing a little bit of
amazing
here, there, everywhere. Still trying to keep a pulse on, networking, applying, all that fun stuff. I got to meet one of your friends, Lindsay, virtually this past week and do some networking. So shout out to Lindsay. Thank you. Next week, hopefully getting some more info about this part-time job that I'm very excited about. Helping Tim with some stuff over the weekend. We have a busy but chill weekend, which makes no sense. But I'm I'm going to a spin class on Saturday. And that's my one fun thing I'm really looking forward to.
Amazing.
So that will be good.
Mm-hmm.
Get some exercise.
Get you out of the house.
Literally.
Endorphins.
I'm so sorry, but it's supposed to be 75 and sunny today, so I think I'm going to go to the beach after this.
End call.
Do you want me to send you a picture, or would you rather not know?
The FOMO already exists. You might as well send me some pretty pictures.
Be like, look, this could be you. We need to plan a little vacation or something.
Don't tempt me.
I know. It's like story of our lives.
I know.
Hey, we need to go on a trip. Oh, we should go.
Always.
Once I get legitimate work lined up, the floodgates of my bank account are open, let me tell you. I'm coming for you. Globe traveler. Wait, is that the word? Globe traveler?
Globe trotter.
Trotter. Thank you. It's Friday. My brain's a little fuzzy. Okay. On that gorgeous note of how wonderful and intelligent I am with using my words, we're going to head into Natalie's episode. Natalie is now a dear friend of mine, which is so funny to say that because she was my high school English teacher and now we're friends. So we had a little bit of a technical glitch. So her video disappears at the very end, but her audio is still there. It's literally the last 3 minutes. We're aware. So No need to tattletale on us, we know. But just stick around to the very end. It makes it all the way through. So thank you, everyone. Appreciate your patience.
Mhm.
I also did a little look on our Spotify star reviews or just reviews that have stars. And we have like 21, 22 reviews now. Isn't that awesome? We had like
Thanks,
10.
everyone.
Yeah, we appreciate the engagement. Thank you. I don't think we can see who did
ASMR
it,
snap.
which maybe that's a good thing, but thank you everyone who did review and give us a star. 5 stars. That was very nice. So, Sarah, anything else you want to round out this lovely stand up with?
Happy Monday, y'all. Have a good week if you're listening to it on Monday.
We're
Be a
wrapping up
star. Be a
February.
unicorn.
Be a unicorn.
Yeah.
You can get through it. It's another week, but hopefully we can, listen to us while you're in the car, while you're on a walk. Hopefully we've got some giggles to share. All the good things.
Always.
Oh my God. Thank you everyone for listening. We're going to jump into Natalie's episode. Bye. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Just a Job with Ellen and Sarah. Today we are joined by Natalie Fitzgerald, who is kind of someone that I have looked up to for a very long time. Background, how I know Natalie is she was my high school English teacher. And I know everyone always has those teachers that you look back and you're like, it's a teacher that sticks out to you or that you were particularly close to. And I remember like coming into your room a couple of times if I had like girl drama or I don't know, just like boyfriend drama and coming to talk to you about stuff. And you were probably like, oh my God, this poor girl. But I just remember you giving me really good advice. And I think my enjoyment and love of writing papers, like in college I loved writing papers, probably came from how much I enjoyed your class, so thank you for that. But anyways, welcome Natalie to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here and share with you and see you again. It's been a long time.
I know. It has. It's been a minute. Lots of life has happened between high school to now. I won't say how long it is because I don't think anyone cares to know that. I won't share that. But let's get into little Natalie. Do you remember what you wanted to be when you grew up when you were little? If there's like something silly or maybe something more specific that you really were like, this is what when I grow up, this is when I've made it. This is what I want to be.
Yes. I actually wanted to be a meteorologist. I wanted to be the weather girl. And I think I was maybe, excuse me, I was maybe in, I don't know, third or fourth grade, and I would have friends over. I remember I had friends, I would probably force them to play like weather girl with me, but we would hang up like a big map, and I would use a yardstick, and we would record on the old school like camcorders and record the weather reports, and yeah, I was really into it. So I thought for sure I was going to be a weather reporter, and
That we've heard on the pod.
Yeah.
it's funny now because I do not like being that person that's like the center of attention. But yeah, that was, I remember that was like my longest childhood. I feel like that was the longest childhood kind of, career dream I had. And then at some point I feel like too, I wanted to be a teacher, and that's actually where my career path led me to teach.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Talk
about
to us a little bit about your college experience, what that was like, and then your post-college first job.
Oh gosh. Okay. College. I went to USD, University of San Diego. Um, I always loved San Diego. I grew up in Fresno, and I loved being close to the ocean, and I loved how perfect the weather always was. And a little did I know I would love going down to Mexico in college, and probably got into a little too much trouble. But yeah, so I went to USD. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Going into college, I didn't know for certain that I wanted to be a teacher. I really wasn't sure. And I was just kind of like, I was kind of on the path of like, oh, in college, you figure out what you want to do and then you declare your major. And I think what I wanted to do was go out with friends a lot. So I had a lot of fun my first 2 years of college. So much fun that actually I didn't know what I still didn't know what I wanted to declare as my major at that point. My parents were like, all right, so you're 2 years in, and it's probably about time you figure out what you want to do, and we're paying for you to go to school. And so I chose English actually because I always loved like diving into like literary elements and thematic ideas. And I'm not a huge avid reader by any means, but I always loved like symbolism and themes and reading stories and figuring out what like the underlying messages were. And particularly in high school, I had some really good English teachers that I think helped kind of lead me down that path of having an appreciation for it. So, and I always loved to write. I really feel like from a young age, writing was always a way I was able to kind of like express myself. So, yeah, so I kind of always felt like kind of called to do something in writing, literature. I declared my major in English. I thought, we'll just see where this takes me. A lot of people kind of said at that point, it's like if you're an English major, you either go to law school after college or, after undergrad, or you become a teacher. And I thought, maybe that is what I'm going to do, maybe not, but I'm a sophomore in college and I don't need to figure it out yet. So I also really wanted to study abroad. So I started scrambling and trying to figure out where I wanted to go, and everyone was going to Spain. So, of course, I wanted to go to Spain. And I applied. I went through, all of the work to do the international study transfer and application, everything. And I didn't get in to the program. And I was like, that's when my 4.0 turned 2.0 really kind of like hit me in the face. And I was like, wow, I need to kind of like tighten up the reins here and figure out what I'm going to spend the next 2 years doing. So I ended up going abroad, and I think one of the personality traits that I embody, and for better or for worse, I'm very determined, and I was real determined to go abroad. So I ended up going to a good friend's home for dinner. He actually went to CU Boulder, and his parents lived in San Diego and always had me over. They were like, a second family. And I remember being at dinner, and she was telling me about Brian was going abroad, and he's going on this program called Semester at Sea. And I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool, cruise ship.
The wheels are turning like, hey.
And I ended up, my parents like agreed to me going on Semester at Sea. I got into the program. They were like, yeah, that sounds great. We're going to start off in the Bahamas. We're going to circumnavigate the globe on a cruise ship with 600 college kids. I'm actually shocked that they like agreed to this, but I must have had some pretty good persuasive skills that maybe I learned in my English classes. So I went on this semester abroad. I don't think like any of my credits transferred. And so senior year, I was scrambling. Like I had to take more than a full load. I mean, I was like pretty stressed out. And so senior year, I decided, I was like, I'm going to go to school to be a teacher. So I applied to the credential program at Cal State San Marcos. I got in, and let's see. Oh, that summer, I actually moved to Minnesota that summer after I graduated at USD. And I was like, I'm going to go to Minnesota and work for the summer. I'm going to come back to San Diego and start my credential program. And so that's what I did. And when I moved back to San Diego, I was like, all right, I've had a fun summer. I like really, blew it out in Minnesota. I had a super fun couple years in college. I'm ready to like buckle down and be a big girl. And and that took another year or so, but during my credential program, I started teaching at Carlsbad High, or student teaching, excuse me. I had, oh gosh, many fun stories about my still like fun young adult life. And then I was going to try and teach, high school kids. And I was very close in age. I mean, I was 23 years old teaching like 14-year-olds. So it was that early in my career really taught me though that I had to like really play the part of being a firm and strict and structured teacher. And I think in my career teaching, which I'll get into, I really kind of had to grow into that. That was really challenging for me as a young teacher. But yeah, so after student teaching, I applied for a job at Carlsbad High. I ended up getting hired, and I taught 5 sections of freshman English my first year. I was so passionate about what I wanted to do and what I had kind of set my mind to do. And I loved the art and the act of teaching. I didn't like a lot of other things. I didn't really I didn't like so much the other side of it, dealing with parents and emails and grades. And I just wanted to help. I wanted to help kids learn, and that's what I loved. I hated the grading. The grading like really took a toll on me. But again, I was 24 and had this really great job, and I was really proud of what I had, come to make for myself. And, when you're 24, you kind of hustle and you do it. And I did it. And then I was like, 2 years in, I'm out of the public school system. I grew up going to private school. I grew up going to a Catholic school, actually. So I was very much more used to working in an environment with smaller class sizes, less politics, but I guess not really. I mean, it was a different environment, and I am Catholic, and I like really enjoy the tradition of Catholic education and just the mass and the weekly masses and the community. So I went for an interview at Cathedral Catholic High School when I was about 20. Gosh, how old was I? I think I was like 26. And, I was like, there's no way I'm going to get this job. They hired me to teach freshman English. And I was so excited. And that's really when I feel like I kind of like, got it together. I was like, all right, this is kind of a dream job for me to work at this prestigious Catholic high school in San Diego in North County. And, and so I worked there. I taught for 4 years at Cathedral. I made some really good friends I still keep in touch with. And now it's just so crazy and also so fun to hear from my students like Ellen, who are doing like just the most amazing thing. I have come full circle with another student who was just like a student I adored, like Ellen. And so it's just been really fun to hear from my old students and see what they're doing. And yeah.
I remember you being younger, but the fact that you were like 26 is just like looking, I mean, like I'm about to turn 30 and I'm like, oh my God, I can't imagine like dealing with high school students or like, oh my God, like that is crazy.
You said the art of teaching, and we definitely, Ellen and I both have a lot of friends, but also a lot of followers that are teachers. And I don't think that that's a word that a lot of people commonly use, but it's so true. And I think you talk to a lot of teachers. And I mean, I genuinely, I feel like every year it probably gets more and more difficult to be a teacher. And I don't think a lot of credit's due to like the why of people get into teaching. Like for you, it's like the fundamentals of English and of education is what you love. You're like, I didn't sign up to respond to some upset parents email. And I've had friends that have said that they're like spending their Friday nights responding to angry emails. Like your child's in
Yeah.
second grade. Like what?
Yeah. And there's like,
happening here?
there's such like a shift too in parenting styles and kind of like a sense of, there's like a newer sense of entitlement that I think I was sort of introduced to before I got out of teaching. But I can only imagine, and I just, with every ounce of my being, I have so much respect for teachers, and I just, for all of you teachers listening, like you are the heroes. It's a
Seriously.
really, really tough job.
I think that like with the whole parenting piece, like I think I hear that time and time again of like, obviously like the financial aspect, but maybe secondary to that is just dealing with the parents and how difficult and challenging that can be. So, what
Totally.
brought you from, did you go, what was your transition out of teaching? Was it after Cathedral or was there something in between?
Yeah. So when I was an English teacher, I found myself pouring everything into my job. And I was like, this is great for now. But when I have kids, I don't want to be staying at school till 6 p.m. I don't want to be bringing stacks of papers home to grade. And I just, also Sarah, when you asked about the art of teaching, I really I really cared so much that back in the day when we would grade papers, we would actually write with pens on paper, like where to fix things. And Ellen probably remembers like a billion red marks on, not on her essay, but on maybe her table partner's essay. But and it wasn't because I wanted to be a bitch. I really wanted to like help kids become better writers. And it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of investment to do that. And I knew I could do that when I was single and dating. And I knew I did not want to do that when I had kids. I just, I would bring papers to the pool on Sundays, and I would find myself in coffee shops a lot on Saturday mornings. And I just knew I wanted to be a mom and not try to balance that and juggle that, because I felt that my students needed and deserved 100% of me, and my family needed and deserved 100% of me. So when I I got married, I got pregnant. I think that's actually when I transitioned out of teaching, because I knew I didn't want to be doing that work when I had kids. And so there was a little bit of like a lapse in time. I feel like looking back to, I was a new mom. It's all a little blurry, but I was doing some freelance writing for San Diego Magazine and Modern Luxury, some of the lifestyle magazines down in San Diego, using that gift of writing and that joy, that kind of like outlet too, that I had developed early on. I really enjoyed that. But then when I had Connor, which this is crazy, he's almost 12. It's almost 12 years ago. I had a really, really hard time after he was born with my anxiety and depression. And so at that time I wasn't working, and I was really focused on him. I was working part-time actually at Lululemon. This is also really going to make me sound old, but before they opened their stores in San Diego, they had a test store in downtown San Diego. It was like on 8th and J or something, and it was kind of off the beaten path, and it was super fun. I worked there a couple days a week. They called it the showroom, and it was like a test market that Lululemon, I don't know if they still do this, but they would kind of pop a store in a place that was off the beaten path, see if people would actually go, and then they would, see what the revenue and everything was before opening a store. And
that's fun.
So we were open like Thursday to Sunday, and then the rest of the week well, and it was like limited hours, but I got paid to like go and try out different workout classes and network with instructors in San Diego.
That sounds like
Fun.
a
A
dream.
dream.
Yeah.
So jealous.
It was so fun. And I actually like I really, really liked it. And after becoming a mom, I really was trying to figure out a way to like balance that new identity, of becoming a mom, but also I've been like a working woman, and I like having kind of my own thing and also interacting with adults and not babies all day. And yeah, and actually like I know we're kind of jumping over a little all over the place, but the way I got into sleep consulting, which is what I do now, really was born in those early days when I was a mom, really trying to navigate how to find a balance between my part-time job and my family. And trying to navigate sleep was actually it wasn't that hard for me because I read a book and I followed the book, and my son like totally fell into this kind of textbook model of what babies his age do. Well, I will, I love sharing this experience because I thought I knew everything about sleep and babies. And I was like, oh, you just got to read this book. Why does everyone think this is so hard? And when my daughter was born, my second child, nothing I did for him worked for her. So I was very quickly humbled by, in my experience, had to learn just some new ways, different ways. There's so many ways to get babies to sleep. But I had to figure that out also now having a toddler and a newborn. And yeah, at that time too, I had a lot of friends who were having babies, and it's so hard. It's so much easier said than done, but it's so hard to like not get into the, comparison,
Yeah.
just the whole thing. And like, it can really drive you insane. And it's something that I remind my clients of a lot now. When I work with new moms is, you have your own parenting style, or maybe you're trying to find it. Your baby is his or her own person, has his own temperament, personality, and so much of the way that you kind of navigate the road to parent in parenthood is really based on those two things, kind of what your style is and also how your child responds. I started consulting kind of like as a part-time job because I found myself like talking to, I was talking to friends and family first about babies and sleep. And then it became like, if Ellen had a neighbor who had a cousin who just got married and his brother had a baby. And it was like, I was talking to strangers on the phone all day about sleep, and which I'm so passionate about. And this is kind of what is interesting about the trajectory of my professional life is that it always sort of follows this like path of teaching. Because now I own a sleep consulting business, and I get to work with new parents and help them learn what their parenting style is like and help them gain confidence in meeting their baby's needs and like creating a schedule and a routine that works for their family. That's not just, out of this textbook. Because that's rare that ever happens that way. And then, so I started doing that and just really enjoyed it. But one thing that I really started to realize too in working with new parents and specifically moms is how much emotional support moms were needing and not always seeking out. I got my certification in sleep consulting. There's actually such a thing as pediatric sleep consulting certification. And then I got certified as a postpartum doula. And during my doula training, I learned a lot about like postpartum depression, anxiety, other PMADs, perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. I learned a lot about lactation and feeding and just how that ties into a lot of the challenges my clients were having. And it became so clear to me that supporting moms, not just, it really was like the sleep was the easy part, but supporting
Mm.
moms emotionally was really kind of what made and makes me sort of stand out from maybe other sleep consultants. I've been doing this now. I had another baby. She's a unicorn. She was so easy. She like slept through the night before I even wanted her to. I
Oh
feel
my
like I
gosh.
deserved it after my second. But she was born in 2017. And at that time, I started my own company, Restored Sleep
Yeah.
Consulting and Postpartum Care. And I don't do as much in-home work with clients just because my kids were and are still young and have a lot of needs in the evenings and nights and
Sure.
just yeah, like the schedule. I feel like I go to work between 4 and 9 p.m. after I've been working all day. Just the shuffle with the kids and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think at some point I would love to do more work in home, but everything I do with my clients can be done remotely and over the phone. And I work one on one just in a very individualized and customized way to tailor sleep plans and routines and rituals and schedules and all of that stuff for each family that I work with.
What
amazing.
a rewarding thing to do. Like you are building confidence for new moms, which like if and when I experience that, like you're gonna be first on my list of people I call. Be like, Natalie, what do I do? Oh my God, help. But I remember I think around the time that you were starting your business, I was nannying full time and I was kind of in a point of like, do I want to keep doing this? Or like I thought about starting my own nanny agency at one point. Like I was kind of trying to find my niche in like the child development, early childhood education kind of space. And I remember when you started that and I was like, oh, this is genius. Like this is so cool. I just found it really fascinating of like, you know, it's another facet to early childhood education or just working with kids and young families in a way that's not teaching. Cause I thought that like teaching or nannying was just it. And that was the only way,
Right.
or besides healthcare, that you could really be interacting with like with young children. So I thought that was just a really interesting and unique um like business to be in. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm
I
not
hear that a
explaining it
lot.
right.
No, I hear that a lot. And I think a lot of people, I think it's become more well known,
Yeah.
especially in the perinatal mental health realm. It's like more people. I actually listened to your interview with Amelia and the pelvic floor,
Hmm.
and I loved that. And so many more people, which I love hearing this, are more exposed to, educated about, and aware of all of these resources for pregnant and postpartum, moms and dads.
Hmm.
And there's, I think even 5 years ago, people kind of looked at me like, what? Sleep consultant? Do you sleep train
Yeah.
adults? I'm like, no, I need a sleep trainer. I'm tired.
I was gonna ask that, Natalie. Like in the span that you've owned this business, like what's the change and the shift that you've seen, not just like in society as a whole, but just how people speak to you or ask questions or the parents, like what have you seen change the most?
Oh, that's a great question. I think
Hmm.
early on, the question I feel I got most, and that I think is kind of becoming less frequent, is do you support Cry It Out? And any new mom is going to listen to this and be like, yeah, do you support Cry It Out? And absolutely no, I do not support putting your baby in a crib and closing the door and walking away and letting them cry till they fall asleep. Absolutely not. I'm a mom. I could never do that.
Hmm.
I think what is so interesting and also encouraging about technology. um, Even though my web browser apparently was outdated. It's like it is the double-edged sword. There's so much more information out there to where I think new parents are like, okay, we don't need to do like we don't need to cry it out. There's just that doesn't have to happen. There's a lot of different ways that we can do this. And in kind of figuring that out, I think a lot of parents end up reaching out to me even after they've done their own research and even maybe tried a lot of things that are like, this is not working. Like, what else can we do? And something that, yeah, I guess to answer that question, it's like, I feel like new parents are maybe more creative or open to, or I don't know if I'm like really explaining this very well, but more like, yeah, open to different ways and also not really so much stuck in these old kind of, popular sleep training methods of cry it out, Ferber, and extinction. Like there's so many other things that you can do. So I think that's where I've seen a shift in the time that I've been doing this. There's also, like I was saying, there's so much information on the internet. So for better or for worse, like new moms will also be like, well, I read that, da, 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 da. It's like, I think for me, and I think a lot of experts in the field would probably share this sentiment that, if you hire me and you have put your trust and your money into my work, let me help guide you. And I think that's where I struggled as a new consultant, was almost like second guessing, am I like, do I really know everything? And of course, there's always more to learn, but kind of similar to my teaching days, like the longer I do this and the more I work with families of all different walks of life, the more confident I gain more confidence. I see more situations. I've helped over 1,000 families get their babies sleeping. And it truly is, I think you were saying like how rewarding it really is. It's kind of that feeling of watching your student when she's almost 30 ask you to join the podcast. I'm so proud of you. And I feel that way about the moms that I work with too. We walk a journey together that we end up usually, it's a very intimate and vulnerable time in a new mom's life. And I feel like I've become friends with even some of my clients and keep in touch with. So,
I remember, Sarah, you came over to my apartment for something and we sat, I remember, at my kitchen island and just talked for like 3 hours. I wonder why we started a podcast.
We were supposed to be working.
I love that.
Not at all. We were not working.
And we got on to the subject of maternity leave and how that, especially now with most parents, or most couples having to both have a dual income, and how a woman typically has to make the decision whether or not they go back to work, how they go back to work, and how they balance their time. What advice would you give to a family, a young mom who's currently going through that transition of, do I go back to work? Like, how am I going to do this? And like, what's going to be the best thing for me and for my family?
Wow, you're putting a lot of faith in my advice here.
No pressure.
Here's the thing. I love working. I was a stay-at-home mom for a few years, and I always found myself like dabbling in other things. And at the time, I didn't necessarily have to work for an income, but I wish I would have. I wish that was something that I would have kind of created for myself and
Mm.
kind of long-term thinking. But I think going back to the question of what fills your cup, if it's being a stay-at-home mom with your baby and you're able to financially do that, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
If you find yourself at home and you're financially able to stay home and don't want to stay home, find something else to do that is, maybe it's part-time work, maybe it's a volunteer position. Maybe like I just remember a lot of people during COVID, well, actually in Amelia's interview, remembering her saying that was almost a blessing during COVID to slow down and like take a
Yeah.
pause. And there's so much that I think people can do now, even remote, from a remote place,
Mm-hmm.
that creates so much flexibility to still have time that you want to dedicate to your family and also time that maybe want to dedicate to something else. I, I'm just, I feel like that's such a hard position for a lot of new moms to be in
Mm-hmm.
because some new moms also, they have to go back to work and there's really not a lot of flexibility there. And I think my advice to moms who are, you know, indefinitely going back on a certain date is really trying to enjoy that time that you have at home with your baby and not stressing so much, especially moms that are a lot like me, like type A and scheduled. And I mean, I have moms that call me when they're pregnant and they're like, I'm going back to work as soon as I can. And I need this baby sleeping through the night, like when we get home from the hospital. So what can you do? I'm like, well, that's not going to happen. We're going to work with
Let's adjust.
we're going to work with what's developmentally appropriate for your baby.
Yeah.
And you probably won't want that also. Like, let's wait till our subject gets here and we can reevaluate. But yeah, I really think it's important to enjoy the time if you are on maternity leave to enjoy that time with your baby. You're not going to get that back. They grow so fast. Um, the schedule, the sleep, I mean, when you're ready, great time to start, but it will come. And I have so many families that reach out to me at all different stages of from pregnancy, like I mentioned, to I mean, I've got toddler clients that have never slept through the night, and the parents are finally at 2.5 years old, like, we got to get this child in his or her own bed, sleeping
Yeah.
independently all night. And you know what? But sometimes that's what it takes. You have to be at a point where you're ready to start to implement change or routines. It's never too early to start establishing routines, but um, yeah, I think it just really depends on the family and the mom and the situation. And I'm always a big believer of enjoying that time when they're little. It
Mm-hmm.
does. It goes so
Oof.
fast.
And remembering that being a mother, being a parent is a job, especially the first time
Yes.
through.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe I didn't mention this. It is a job. I actually I have three jobs. I run my business and my kids are, like I said, I come home or not come home because I work from home, but I'm done with like my work day, which I take clients between 8:30 and 4. And then my kids come home and that is a job from 4 till they go to bed at like 9. They go to bed so late now because they're just older and they have sports. And, but even like, and yeah, I think too, for the moms that do stay home and maybe have that feeling of like, is this job enough? It's a full-time job. Raising kids is a full-time job and it doesn't ever get easier. And the way that it evolves may make it seem easier. My kids can get themselves dressed, they can make themselves food for the most part. I mean, let's be honest, it's not the meals that I want them eating, but like at this age, it's so much emotional energy that goes into giving them time. And, I mean, I've got a million tabs open in my brain constantly between the work I do with my clients. And I also do some part-time work with a nonprofit in San Diego, the Postpartum Health Alliance. And my brain is constantly firing, whether it be work or managing my home or my kids. And it is a full-time job. So if you are the mom that wants to or has to stay home, know that that is also a full-time gig. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Moms are
We
magic.
did.
We're just, moms are like,
Moms and teachers.
yeah.
Like, let's give a round of applause for the moms and teachers. Oh my God. Talk to us a little bit what like a typical day looks like for your business specifically. Like you said, from 8:30 to 4-ish, you take client calls. Like, are you what do those look like? And like kind of more from the business lens, what a typical day looks
Sure.
like for you.
So I'm like one of those, I roll out of bed with my kids at 7. Just don't like to get up early and get ready. If you
Same.
see me with my hair done, and I like have a little makeup on, if you see me looking like this, I am going on like a Zoom or like an interview. I usually have my hair up in a bun. I'm in a sweatshirt and leggings, and like that's usually my MO. But I get my kids out the door, so we get them up and get them out the door by 8:30. They're on the bus, and I start my calls at 9. So usually between 8:30 and 9, I get back to my clients who are on unlimited packages. So with my packages, my sleep consulting packages, I offer unlimited support during the time that I'm working with a client to help them implement their sleep plan. And so I keep my phone on silent actually, and I really don't check my phone until about 8:30. I kind of learned the hard way with that too, like trying to support moms and also trying to like get my like melting down 6-year-old her, the boots or the socks or whatever, and like my other child who wants like a gourmet breakfast burrito for breakfast before he leaves for school, and it just was too much. So I've kind of like taken my own advice to tighten up reins here, and I get back to clients between about 8:30 and 9. I start calls at 9, so that could be consults, like clients that would like to just do a one-off kind of consultation, a custom consultation, or toddler tune-up consultations. I work with babies and toddlers, basically ages like 0 to 4. I'll do meetings for my job with the Postpartum Health Alliance. I'm actually their program coordinator. Started off as a very, very part-time job during COVID. And I love this organization. It means it has a very special place in my heart. So I've always kind of found a way to stay in it. And when I moved during COVID and then recently moved out to Colorado, I'm based in Colorado now, they're just like, we can't lose you. You know too much about what we need. And it was a mutual kind of feeling. So I do, a variety of like meet with board members. We do board meetings once a month with them. I meet with the different board positions to, review. Like we just got done kind of onboarding new board members. So I met with the community education chairs I'm meeting with the community education chairs to go over kind of what that looks like to plan education events throughout the year. And so the Postpartum Health Alliance is also connected to the perinatal mental health field, which is kind of like the field that I work in. And we are a network of about 250 providers. We have a network of clinicians, marriage and family therapists, social workers, doulas, sleep consultants, like kind of affiliated professionals in the field. And we hold these education events and trainings throughout the year to help really spread awareness for and education for perinatal mental health disorders. So I try to usually catch a hot yoga class here and there if I can. It's like such a funny thing. I go to yoga like sometimes at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I will pop into a hot class and I love a really good, hot, sweaty workout. I know Ellen does, Sarah.
Hot yoga is my jam.
Yeah. And that actually really, really helps me to kind of get my central nervous system back to a place where I can emotionally support parents and also my kids.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And then that's kind of how my day goes. It's meetings, calls, consults, and then ongoing support for my clients that I take on unlimited, which I only take on a certain number of clients to do that. My kids come home at 4 o'clock. They ride the bus and they get home at 4:02. So my last call is usually at 3:30. And then it's like balls to the wall. Dinner, homework, sports, activities, and all that. And then I usually kind of tuck them in between 7:30 and 8:30. I try to be in bed at 9. So, and my phone
That's
is
a
off.
full day.
Yeah,
Woo!
nothing short of
Yeah.
busy.
Uh-huh.
Before we hop into the last question, I think it's only important. I feel Ellen and I are both childless. We do not have children beyond our dogs.
Childless.
But I feel like
Those are your
I do
babies.
same. You know, they had a sleeping schedule. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But you know,
It's
when
good
you
practice.
start to get older and you have more of these conversations and you're exposed to people and friends and families start to have kids and you just look at your parents through such a different lens. I just have to say this because my parents listen to the podcast. You look at your parents through such a different lens and you're just like, oh my God, I wouldn't be able to do or be who I am today without them. And then you're just like, have so much more appreciation for everything that they've done. And I can't even imagine 30 years ago, not the lack of education, but just like the lack of resources, really. I know that there will be kids that you are helping now that 30 years down the line, they're like, thank God for Natalie. For keeping my parents sane and taking good care of me. So
Thank
I want
you
to
for
leave
that.
you. Of course. I want to leave you with one last kind of big question. What is it, not just in your work, but like in your personal and professional life? How do you define success for yourself?
I was thinking about kind of what I was talking about earlier and just filling your cup. And I think that for me, I've been through a lot in my life and in my career. It's not like I've had a job for 20 years that I've been with the same company. I feel like that kind of rarely happens anymore anyway. But I think that for me, the definition of success is finding what you are passionate about, finding what you enjoy doing, and figuring out a way to make that part of your daily life and part of your, professional life. As much as you can. And I feel so fortunate that I've been able to support my family doing something that I love so much. And it didn't come easy. It's required a lot of hours and a lot of patience and a lot of time and sacrifice, really. And but I knew that to be successful, I had to give it more than, that first year that I was like struggling to explain what a sleep consultant was, or, having these like mommy and me sleep classes or sleep talks that I would host around San Diego. And I'd have like one or two moms show up, and it can be really defeating when you're starting off in your career, be it in your 20s or a new career, maybe in your 30s or 40s, or at any point in your life. It takes a lot of work and dedication, and kind of bringing it full circle back to like that quality of being determined to do what you believe in so much and what you love is really important.
Oh my gosh. That's such good advice of just like, it gets better. Like, don't give up. And like, if you just get over that, kind of uncomfortable hump, or, you can make it through. It's okay. And
Yeah.
just good piece of advice in general, with specifically career wise, but also with personal things as well. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
We're going to get into rapid fire. Natalie, what's a one thing you cannot live without during the workday?
It's a tie between coffee and wine. Coffee in the morning.
Ooh.
and my my pretty
Yep.
$60 whatever water
Yeah.
water jug.
You're hydrated in all forms.
Yes. And actually, I really, I have started, we're up here in the altitude in Colorado, and it's like so dry, and my skin, my hair, everything is just different from California. But I started using those element packets. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I love one of those during the day too.
Ooh, I've seen them everywhere and I haven't tried them yet. So I'll add them to my Amazon
It's kind
cart.
of like a weird taste at first because you're not expecting it to be so salty, but especially with the workouts and sweaty
Gotta
workouts.
hydrate.
Yeah.
So you may have clued us in a little bit, but how, after the chaotic day that you have, how do you like to unwind?
Okay, so I love a glass of wine and cooking, but I also love to cook without my children like in my space. So when I can, I love to make a meal and have it ready. And when they come home from their sports, I love to sit down as a family and have dinner. Yeah, I think that's probably the extent of my winding down. I heard you girls talking about The Bachelor, and I was like, oh, I miss watching TV, but I don't watch a lot of TV anymore. Last night I got the girls down, say goodnight, and we're like playing Clue. Yeah, playing Clue, and we'll have the football on when it's on, and I love that too. But yeah, no shows for me these days.
That is okay.
Too tired.
Too tired. I'm considering the day you explained, the typical day in your life. Yeah, I definitely don't doubt the lack of TV time. I was looking through our rapid fire questions and I was like, because we usually try and tailor them to each person of based on their background, what would be interesting to ask. And I want to know, so we have the question that we specifically have is like your favorite corporate catchphrase, but I know you're not in the corporate world. So what is there like a funny, either baby or like pregnancy catchphrase or something that you find funny or interesting? Or if you have a client that they say something and you're like, oh my God, I'm tired of hearing that.
Oh, geez. I don't know. You're putting me on the spot on this one. I can't tell you anything corporate. The only corporate job I feel like I've ever had was that short stint with Lululemon, and I wasn't even really working in their stores. But, gosh, you know what's funny is I think this might be my thing, and it's kind of weird, but you know what would Jesus do? WWJD. So a lot of clients will circle back, at some point when they need a little tune up, and we'll schedule a call. And I've heard this more often than not, but they're like, I sat there and what would Natalie do? And I even had a client make this little bracelet with the WWND. And so I think in my work, when I have kind of trained and helped my clients to get them to a better spot, I actually I always laugh because I feel like I'm sort of this little person that's kind of always on their shoulder. Nope, don't get him up yet. Give him 5 minutes. Don't run in there. It's what would Natalie do? So
that's a sweet mantra. And I bet just a testament to how helpful you are and impactful you are with your clients. So that's really sweet. Natalie, thank you so much for spending your time with us.
Thank you. This was so fun. And I appreciate the time that you took to reach out and prepare all these questions. And I wasn't really sure what we would talk about, but I hope it was a fun listen. And thank you again.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be sure to link all the places you can find Natalie and her business in the description notes. So thanks everybody for listening and have a good one. Bye.
Thanks.